Awesome. Hey everyone, this is Tim Halverson. Welcome to a workshop. This is a live stream. We are live right now and we're doing it on YouTube. Today we are talking about Rhino inside Revit. And to be honest with you, I've only explored this for a couple of days here. And the intent of this is actually just to be an interactive live session going from start to finish, being able to open up Revit, open up Rhino, understand what the features are, and then we might dip into some Rhino 7 because I also have that downloaded. There's a whole different batch of fresh features that have come out in Rhino 7, and I'll link to that description. I'll link to the features if you want to be browsing through that. But really the intent here is to be able to work through this live, be able to explore, do some custom workflows, and just see how much we can leverage Rhino inside Revit. So I'm hoping to understand what it can do for me, but also what it can't do for me. And I already have a couple ideas of that, but I really want to be able to explore this together. So if you want to join me in this, feel free. I'll keep an eye on the chat as much as possible. But yeah, feel free to, whenever you tune in, just let me know where you're tuning in from, and we'd love to hear from you. Again, we're talking about Rhino inside Revit today. I'm sure there's a lot of tutorials out there about this. We might start to do some browsing on that, but this is really intended just to be kind of a back and forth dialogue to work through things. All right, cool. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to the main screen here. And there we go. All right, 1 second to readjust here. Okay, so what is Rhino.Inside? Well, I did put a link in the description below if you didn't see that. Rhino.Inside is basically, if you download that link, there's a couple videos here that start to get you the setup process, but you just go ahead and hit, you hit this right here, download Rhino.Inside beta. So it is still in the works, but they're getting better all the time. And basically, it's gonna give you a new tab. And I don't know why this didn't launch here. Okay, so if you go to add-ins, and then you go over Rhino, this is after you've installed it and got it on your machine, and you're ready to go. Go ahead and launch Rhino. And I believe this is only in Rhino 7 or the work in progress, but they released Rhino 7 just before Christmas this past 2020. So that was a welcome addition. And there's a lot of testing going on right now. So basically we're trying to figure out when to launch it and things like that. So if you are exploring it, we can do that together. Cool. So it's going to take a second. All right, so when you launch it from the Revit add-ins to Rhino, you're going to get a new tab up here for Rhinoceros. And again, check out the help sample files and different things going on there. There's a lot of different ways to access this, but basically it's giving me a couple things. If I do Rhino, it's going to launch up an instance of Rhino that's actually sitting on top of Revit. Likewise, if I actually launched Grasshopper, I could do that. So everything is going to be as I already have in Rhino, if that makes sense. So all my settings, all my previews, my toolbars, things along those lines, this is all good. All right, so then if, let's see here. So if I go ahead and launch Grasshopper from here, let's see if that's going to open up. Okay, so we got Grasshopper, and my only awareness so far is that under the params tab, it's added this whole section here for Revit primitives, and we'll explore that. And then we also have this new Revit tab up here. So I've got my draw small icons going here just to compress this a little bit. But we're going to basically try to walk through a bunch of these different shapes here and then just see how much we can really leverage what's going on. Now, if we do also just fire up the help file and go over to, let's do, I don't know. Let's try to work through this page here. So I just searched Rhino.Inside, Revit Beta. And if I just go to getting started, they've got the little wiki here. And what I'm most interested in at this point is Grasshopper inside of Revit. And I'm pretty sure you can see here they've got parameters, queries, deconstruct, analyze, modify, construct, create, delete, purge, and param types. So if I start to look and Alt-Tab back to the Rhino, there's a color coding system, right? So these green ones are queries. And let's just see here. Yeah, so they've kind of tried to attach these colors here to the type of work or task that's going to be performed on Revit. So that'll give us clues on how we might be wanting to use it. And you can also see here the little T in the upper right. I can already see right here, direct shape. That's got the little T icon. You can see there, little T. And then, yeah, it's a little confusing. I'm still getting used to the zoom guy. So query, and let me see here. Get this a little closer. All right, so basically we've got query, deconstruct, analyze, and this is gonna be good. So basically what's going on is inside of Revit, we're going to be able to create Rhino elements, right? Rhino elements, and then be able to create a dynamic link to things over in Revit. Okay, seems easy enough, but we need to start testing this out. So you can see, extracting geometry, stuff like that. So let's just try one of these exercises. If I go to my Revit file and just go to architecture wall, if I wanted to just create a shape here and look at that in 3D. Okay. Now if I go Alt-Tab back to Rhino and open up Grasshopper there, let's see what we can do here. So if I go to element geometry, I think if I go over to input, I can start to pick what I want. Or actually, no, go to under params, and we can host, we can pick wall, and I can right click on that and say set multiple walls, and pick those walls that I want to include. And then, let's see here. Okay, there's a little finish up here. Boom, hit that. All right. And then draw a preview. Let's see here. This guy is saying draw a preview boundary on the canvas. Canvas to exclude objects. Try that new preview. New. Okay. Now, if I want to go ahead and see some stuff, might as well go ahead and put draw full names on. We can get an idea of what's going on. So it looks like every time they use E, that's for elements. And you see it's got that little ID. So see right next to elements E as list, there's a little ID icon. That's the Rhino.Inside kind of nomenclature for their own types. So typically you'd see these black ones, for any grasshopper stuff. See if I hover over that, there's that black mesh for an input. Looks like Rhino's doing a very similar thing as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those elements in. And right away, if I just tab and then temporarily hide these, you can see it's getting all that information. Cool. And is that a weird join? Huh. Interesting. So it does see them as independent walls, even though if we take a look at that, there's that seam. I'm not gonna worry about that right now, but you can see how it does segment those out as independent elements. Okay, so we go back and explore what is in this Revit tab. One of the things that I was wondering about was if you could actually get sheets into here. And so what I found initially was that if I do input, and typically if this was like a Dynamo workflow, you would do element categories, and then you would switch that over to all elements category, right? You'd feed that, and then from there you would do your manipulations, and after that you would actually make your edits. So whether you're creating sheets, editing data, things like that, you would do all that in Dynamo. So let's just see if we can find a similar workflow getting to categories and all elements of category. Okay. And let me just check here. Do I have sheets in here? No, I do not. That's because I created a new model. So just before we started the live stream, I opened up a brand new project. Might as well just make sure. Okay. And might as well add that location as well. There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna call this inside sandbox and give that a 1 and save. Cool. One second. Cool. All right. So now that we have things happening over here, let's go ahead and I'm actually gonna, since I have sheets already created in my other model here, I'm gonna go ahead and try to work with that a little bit. Okay. So save that project. I'm gonna go ahead and close. Let me see if I can keep this running actually. So if I go to document and I say active document, yeah. I think this will work. Okay, so let me see if I can switch that now. And might as well save my script while I'm working on it. Okay, so let's see here. Sorry, distraction-free environment. Okay. So if I just tab over to my other project here and then go back here, and recompute. There we go. So I've been able to switch the active document, and I don't think this is going to remember because I set that explicitly to the other elements. But if I'm doing a query, let's see here, category, I want to query categories. Here we go. Category types. I can pick model. So this is a way to kind of query it generally. If I know exactly what I'm going for, which is sheets, I believe, yeah, so this is getting my categories here. And there's abutments and air systems and all these different types of categories. But if I want to do it specifically, I believe I can go over to input and I can say model categories picker. And you can see there's actually different types of categories. That's just how the Revit API works. We can go into detail on that in a second, but if I pick this one, no, this is not what I was expecting. But I know from experience that the sheets live in here. Even though you might think that they would live, you know, under, you know, the annotations or the tags, which are both documentation based, the sheets live inside of the model categories. So that was annoying, but now we just have to see if we can get all elements of category. So if I go to elements, element category, so I could pick something from my model and then extract the category from it. Here we go. Get document model element list. So filter, max number of elements to query for. Let's see what this is telling us. Data conversion failed from integer to Revit element filter. So it looks like there's this filter tab, which I've never explored before. But let's just see what we have here. Category filter. That sounds promising. Filter used to match elements by their category. So I'm gonna say, give me the categories of sheets. And there we go, that seemed to be accepted. And there we go. Okay, so what do we got here? Revit view, sheet, A101, unnamed. Cool. So it appears that I've been able to access my sheets. Let's confirm this. So if I, and just so we're not confused, we can put on full names, that's cool. So we've got, you can see right there, it's looking at the active model and it's finding all the elements. And apparently Rhino's calling this Revit view sheet. And let's see, is that actually a view or is that actually a sheet? So if we go to element, I'm looking for this information here. So see here, put dependents in there. That should start to give me some information. So it looks like it's found a Revit graphical element, unnamed. There's a viewport number 1. And there is a sketch plane and a component, right? So this component, I know number 4, we could actually, I think we can get the components back. So if I want to start to query a little bit more, query elements. Actually, See if we can query families. Let's see what we got here. So help me understand what I'm seeing here. So if I look at the element, let's inspect it. Let's try that one. Okay. So giving me anything. Weird. Okay. Query types. So I'm trying to find a way to understand this a little bit more. Let's just see if I take these elements. This is going to grab everything from the model, the entire model. But let me see if I can actually do a little hack I use in Grasshopper. So if I filter down, instead of graphical elements, I want to go to represent a Revit document family. So I'm basically looking for the family in Grasshopper. I'm looking for the data type for hey, quick note, I realize we're in the weeds. If you're just joining us, we are tuning into Rhino.Inside Revit. We're looking at all the different things. I'm trying to unpack a workflow to query the sheets that are currently in my test model. And then we're just trying to see if we can start manipulating the information to create a parallel workflow between what you do in Dynamo to what you might do in Grasshopper. So that's what we got on screen, and I'll be talking through some of my thought process around what we do in Grasshopper and just trying to blend those together. If you have any questions as we go, again, I've linked to downloading Rhino.Inside in the description below, and feel free to be working alongside. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts, and we'll just go from there. I'll be live streaming for about an hour or so, maybe a little bit longer. We'll see how it goes. But feel free to jump in the chat whenever you join. Cool. So let's dive back in. All right, so what we have here, I am trying to do a little hack, which is I will take a data type in Grasshopper and use that as a filter. So if an element or an object in Grasshopper is not that data type, it's going to flag null, and then I can use that to filter it out and only keep the remaining stuff that I want. So I'm aiming to get just families, and what I'm trying to get to is let's see here, that didn't work. This is why we test. So basically, I know that my sheets here, you can see in the sheets, I've got a couple different data types going on. Let me just get my language confused here. Okay, so I may or may not interchange. I might use the same. Goodness, music. Okay, so we've got our properties, right? It's called properties in Revit. I might use that interchangeable with data, just general data in Grasshopper. These over here. Okay. So we know this in Revit, but basically these are our keys, these are our values. That's Grasshopper speak. That's actually computing speak. In Revit, it calls these parameters and these values, right? So parameter value, key value, same thing. So we might need to just get an understanding of that. And then properties, I'm going to avoid software engineering talk about decorating and things like that. But generally speaking, we're just looking to manipulate this information. And you can see I'm currently using this use data, which is just text or strings or whatever you want to call it. And then discipline architecture. So you can see that if this one didn't have, I wanted to just type something in manually, then that's going to group it off into its own place there, which is pretty obvious. If you haven't been, you've been into Revit long enough, this is how we group our stuff. All right, so where are we at? We are trying to manipulate our set with grasshopper information. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Families. It did not work. Okay, so I have a Revit component standard. Now, a component is the same thing as a family in Revit. So architecture component, we might use those interchangeably. I'll try to stick to the language that's being used here, is just calling that as a component. I know from experience that this standard is actually the type name of this title block right there, standard. So what I'm trying to figure out is actually how to get the original family name out from the type. Okay, so let's see. So Revit primitives. Let's go back to Revit here. Okay. Awesome. If anybody's live in there, what am I doing here? Feel free to join me if you are tuning in just now. But we're exploring this together, and good times. Hide this. All right. Cool. So there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And I welcome you to participate if you're also interested in Rhino.Inside. So I'm not planning to keep this one posted, by the way. This isn't going to be something that we oh man, this isn't something that we want to reuse and keep live on the channel. It's going to be kind of a Q&A workshop, and then it's going to be gone after we're done. It's not going to stay. So encourage interactivity and joining me for this process. Cool. So Revit component, let's figure this one out. So we are looking for element name. Well, this gives me a little bit of a clue. So if I query view elements, right? We had back here, we had all these Revit views, which is a sheet. So if I put that into the view here, Now that is going to get some information for me. It looks like it's pulling the Revit component and it's finding that placed sheet. Now, if it's A101, you can see there's actually no viewport placed on that sheet. But in the event of, oh, come on. There you are. So in these first couple ones, A101 only had the title block in there. But down here, we actually have viewport number 1, and that's pretty sweet. So I could filter down to categories. So let's go ahead and change this out to input and do annotation. Try this one. And let's go pick out a title block, which is actually an annotation symbol, but super annoying. So in families under annotation symbols, title blocks live in here, if you never knew that. And I typically prefix them with TB. Even though we use them as title blocks and even though we save them typically in their own title blocks folder, they're technically an annotation symbol. So I'm gonna go try to find where that lives. And let's just see if I get it back with generic annotations. You can see right there, I'm filtering out the title blocks, which I was hoping to get. And it looks like there's nothing under title block. Let's see here. And there's no annotation symbols either. Try a different one. So instead of input, let's do tag categories maybe. That's just a few tags. So we've got look at that. Why is it here? Oh, why is it here? All right, well, I found it. Okay, that worked. Whatever, we found it. Okay, so we have filtered down to title blocks, which is under the tag category. If you didn't catch that, tag category. Ugh. Okay, so we have officially filtered down to just our title blocks, which we're making progress, right? We can delete out this other junk for now. Okay. And yeah, so we've got all elements of category. And now we've got our specific title blocks on sheets. Okay. Now what I'm aiming for is to be able to swap. So if we basically, we want to query the sheets and or title block parameters. Then we want to transform that. And then we want to set, right? Which is set or like apply / set sheet and or title block parameter values. So we query it, we transform it, we apply and set it, and Bob's your uncle. So how do we get the information out of this title block? Well, one of the things I want to set up too is the ability to swap it. So there's parameter values, but then there's also, we could say family types. And then transform which one you want it to be based on the parameter values, and then perform the swap. So this might be okay. This is generally the flow we're looking for, right? And then we'll query this in parallel and eventually swap it based off of the values that we find. And then if we get the values, we can start to write out new values, but kind of what we're doing. All right, so we got the title blocks. Now we want to understand what information is inside of those title blocks. So let's go ahead and do element. And I like to work from element because it's the most neutral thing in Revit, and we're accessing it from Rhino, which is epic. So we review elements. That's important to distinguish because a sheet is considered a view. I typically think of a view as a viewport in Revit, but that's that. So it looks like right here, we've got a bunch of parameters getting set parameters. And I don't know the difference between all these, so let's just put one of each on the canvas. So there's get and set, right? So this is that set we wanted. And this looks like two different ways to look at that. So you can see here, Rhino is giving us a clue because in Rhino, Revit calls them parameters and Rhino calls them keys. So it just double dipped and said parameter key. So basically that's just the stuff on the side here. And where did you go there? Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and try that and say, put all the elements in here. So this one's like a look for a very specific parameter. This is if I don't know what parameters I'm looking for. Okay. So we've got a bunch going on here. So if I look closer, I could flatten this list and then say unique. Or we could sort. Sort by itself. Okay, and then we could say list. Oh, here, this is what I want to do. Create set. Oy. Okay, so when I create a set, that's basically going to cull all the duplicates and only return the unique values that are in that entire list. Okay. So I don't have to sort it, I don't have to group it, nothing like that. And then it's going to pull out where it found each of those. So basically this new value becomes the list. If I basically just, this is a talk for another time, but if I took these indexes and I pulled that from this tree, it would bring back we're not going to talk about that right now, but basically I was just going to group things off into branches based off of the set, so we're just not going to worry about that right now. I don't want that move always seems to trip me up somehow. Okay, so we've got our unique keys, and this is a lot of keys. Okay. Notice that it actually has the @ symbol, and this is basically tying it to the active document. So yeah, let's just say all right, so I've got my parameters. What is it about these parameters that I care about? Well, let's see if I can get the group here. So if I go back here, I can actually say group, and I was just looking for some data. So let me just try to hard type this in and say, look for identity data. Okay. And put that into the group. And it's going to flag. Of course it is. So it's looking for a specific data type, which is a parameter group. So if I go back to the params, come to Revit primitives, and parameter key is a data type. I'm looking for group. I think this is a group element. Let's go take a look over at the Revit tab once again. And well, let's see here. Parameter. Built-in parameter groups. Okay. There we go. And it defaults to the one I cared about. So now I can take a look at this. And you can see right here, I've got design option, sheet height, sheet width. That's all this information over here on the left, which is pretty exciting. And then notice even here, work set, since it says view sheet A101, that's kind of what it was pulling at back here, way back up here actually. These views, this is how Revit basically keeps things organized. It puts things on a work set, which is different than these editable work sets down here. But I'm not going to go too deep on that. Just know that okay. So what do we got here? We got our parameters. And now if I go to set, we can pick from those. And I could let's do a picker. I'm going to use the human tab, and it's got the item selector. And I'm just going to pipe this in and do a drop down and just say, let's just go with, I don't know. What do you want to do? Well, this is looking for title blocks. So let's actually see if we can back out of this for a second. We found title blocks, but rather than digging into the items on the sheet, let's see if we can get the data directly. So I'm going to keep identity data. I'm going to alt drag a copy of this. And I'm going to see if I can get the original sheet. And I specifically want to go after a couple parameters. So let's go get, and I'm going to say these elements. And I want these parameters over here. So let's see if we can get parameter key identity. Let's just see if I can type it in. Okay. Yes. Okay, finally. Okay, cool. So now I've got my stuff there. So if I wanted to craft, oops. And let's just try this. Okay, so I've got my structure there. I'm gonna go ahead and simplify this. Okay. So now I have my sheets. They're all graphed off individually. Okay. And let's just see if I take another one of these. I'm going to alt drag a copy of that and then do sheet discipline. Okay. And then check that out. That's architecture. Okay. And now I want to set these elements. And I'm about to set them to, let's just do the same parameter key, and the value of which is going to change. So let's just chop out some information here. So I could just do, I wonder if I was a parameter based, like for example, if these sheets, let's just say this said floor plan, but instead of this being a floor plan, let's say it was, let me make it a new type and call it like a finish plan. Okay. And hit OK. So now that's going to change the plan type to floor plan, finish plan. Okay. Now, I want to go ahead and change that on a couple of these. Let's just do this as a test. I'm going to take this one and hold Control and then just change out the type to finish plan. Okay. So there's a built-in floor plan type, which is a view type, and then it's a floor plan family, and then the family type is finish plan. Okay, so what I'm testing now is if I use these three, okay, and then I go back into my script here, and I say, okay, let's go ahead and query for that specific floor plan family type, and then change anything to interiors that has that type. All right, let's give it a shot. So how do we get that information? Well, we have our sheets here, and we have all the elements on that sheet. But instead of going for the title blocks, let me go ahead and pull out the views. So let me group this over here. Let me delete that. So just grab all this stuff, move it out of the way. Okay. So instead of this, I'm actually going to pull up, let's try a model categories, and might as well just try the annotation just in case I'm wrong. So we're looking for views on sheet. So it's not in the model. Check out annotation. Viewports. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. And if I take those categories and take a look at what's inside, voila. So now I can see Revit graphical element and viewport number 1. So now we just need to understand within this set, just delete some of this. Okay. I need to understand more information about these graphical elements. So let's go ahead and try that out. I want to see what is going on. So if I query view elements, so I'm looking for the data. Nope, right. That is not right. Okay, so deconstruct parameter value. Here we go. View, query views, view types. Get all document views, query view identity. This is exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and say query view types. And family, view type name, and filter. I think this is more of like a filtering mechanism from top down. I already have the graphical elements I want, so I actually need to just unpack the data attached to these. So let's figure that out. Query, we got design options in here. Element parameters. Element material qualities. I want it to tell me about this graphical element. Family identity. Let's try that. Nope. Can I just get the name, like element name? So it's called viewport number 1. Okay. Which that's another problem we can deal with, but instead of element name, element type, the viewport. Okay. What else? Element category. Didn't know about this. Viewport, right? Filter element. Okay, so I want to do input element type picker and family name here. Okay. Cool. So, hey guys, if you're tuning in, I definitely welcome you to chat in. I'm exploring a bunch of Rhino.Inside workflows right now. If you're just tuning in, I'm looking at basically, let me see here. I'm looking at how to filter down sheets using Grasshopper inside of Revit. And what I'm aiming to do right now is actually, we talked about this, but basically a finished plan. I'm trying to get to this floor plan built-in type and then resort my sheets based on the family type I've assigned to that view. So that would be a really robust workflow, and I'm trying to drive it based on the assignment of that viewport type rather than some instance or type data. So if I can unlock that workflow, it'll be pretty robust. If you are curious to check out any of the Rhino.Inside stuff, I'd encourage you to pop in. I linked to Rhino.Inside in the description, and it's available now if you have Rhino 7. And we were working dynamically between Revit and Rhino right now. And I'm just trying to get some new workflows in place. And in the future, once we have a bunch of these ironed out, I'll be teaching on this stuff. But for right now, this is more of a workshop. It's live, lot going on. So anyway, hope you guys are doing well on this weekend. It feels like Christmas. I don't know if you caught that. I mean, this is like detailed, super in the weeds, but I am so stoked because it feels like Christmas. Like I've never, I love Grasshopper so much, and Revit is great for so many things, and now they're coming together, and this is a good day. So, good. All right, so let's get back into it. I'm trying to figure out how to take these elements and unpack them so I get the data attached to the nested built-in floor plan family type, if that makes sense. Which it probably doesn't. Revit. So, what are we doing over here? Input, model. Just give me the family type, query types. Here, give it to me. I want category of viewports. No, not viewports. Views, right? So let's see if we can do this. I'm gonna alt drag or copy. Let's see if this works. Because this might be only getting loadable families rather than built-in families. Built-in parameter groups. This might have something. So I'm looking at viewports, plan types, okay, title text. Definitely say hi if you're just tuning in. All good. All right, so I realize this is super slow. It's just so much information. Why is there supports twice? Okay. Ignoring that. What is up here? We've got IFC parameters. Okay. This is where you really have to know Revit before you start to program Revit. But this is a nice step in the right direction. This is not going to help me. I'm looking for something else. Query levels, let's see here. Query group elements, query group types. Let's see if this helps. Maybe it's not the groups I'm thinking of. Group name. A lot of this stuff, load component family, query families. I feel like I keep coming back to this one and it keeps not working for me. So I want to put so there's all the families. And let's see if we can do a name filter for floor plan. There we go. Okay, so I have a family of floor plan, and now I want to see if I can get family types. which it's giving me a warning, text to family. So let me see if I can get family identity. Nope, that's not right either. I've got families. Do I have families? Element. Okay. Here, let's try something. I'm gonna go ahead and go into one of these. And I'm gonna select that viewport. I'm gonna go back to Rhino. I'm gonna go to input. I'm gonna say element type picker. No, I just want to pick this graphical element. So that's this guy. And I'm gonna say right click, and I'm gonna say set one graphical element. Okay, so then I'm just gonna group this and call it viewport type. And then I'm going to try to get the information I need out of this viewport type. So same type of thing as what we were trying to do before up here. All this viewports. Okay. And yeah, so okay, we're at the same problem, which is how do I get my information about this out? So we've got types. Is that going to help me? No. Graphical element to element type. Okay, back to the Revit tab. Let's go back to the help menu here for a second. Let's see if we can't browse to what we're looking for. So Revit types and families. Let's see if there's some information over here. Okay, so when working with the Revit API, custom families, you can use the combination of the category picker. Okay, so let me find that one because that was annoying. So if I go to the category picker, where is that? Model category picker, and that is living right there. Model category picker. Okay, we are using that. Okay, and the category filter and the query types component. Okay, let's find where that is. So if I go query types, there it is, query types. That lives over here. Now let's see how it's using it. So if I say category filter and element types. Okay, so family name. That's just asking for a string, which is cool. So if I'm looking for a floor plan and a finished plan type, okay. So doink, doink. Is that gonna find it for me? Ooh, come on, go. Oh, okay, so got my type. And now what I need to do is, let's get over here and get rid of all this crap. Okay. So now I need to say, okay, here's my type. Now, so let's see here, type information. Okay. So if I do type info, it's going to give me the category, which is null, family name, and the name of that type. Okay. But what I'm trying to figure out is category filter. Okay, fine. Now I want to do all elements of that type. Right, so if I go to filter and I say exclude types, type filter, filter to use matched elements by their type. Okay, let's do these types. And then I try to filter those elements. So these elements by this filter, boom. And is anything passing? No. So I think I need to take these elements and query what type they are. I need to say, okay, how do I query? Here we go. So I need to get type family. Nope. So inspecting parameters. All right. So let's bring a single element to grasshopper definition. Inspect element. Now hold shift and double click on inspect element. Okay. Inspect element, and that element lives there. Okay. Now it's saying, now hold shift and double click on the inspected element. Okay. Oh. And to see a list of all parameters associated with that given element. Okay. So, okay. So now if I go to underlay, let's see here, what do we got here? Graphics. Display model? Oh. Okay. That's interesting. Element dimensions, built-in parameter. To find a built-in parameter associated with an element, pass the element into the defined built-in parameter here. Okay, try that. So I'm gonna go ahead and show, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do file, special folders, user object folder, and I'm gonna dump, I'm gonna make sure this is unblocked, and then dump that over here. And then take that and do finding a built-in parameter. Okay. So I'm looking for these elements, and I'm looking for the list of Revit built-in parameters. Okay. So here's the Revit API. Let's go up to 2020. Okay. And I'm gonna see here, let's go for built-in enumeration. And the members of that, let's see here. Path of travel. I'm looking for something like views, deal, views show hidden lines. Should be higher than that. Let's see here. So DB namespace. Let's try. It shouldn't be that hard to find. Okay, so reading parameter values. Okay, we'll try to find base constraint. Okay, so we'll deal with this later. This might be what I'm looking for. Reading parameter values. So if I go to parameter key and open that up, we can see here there is a lot of categories. And I'm looking for like view. Here we go. View template, view name. Or family type maybe. Let's try that. Family and type. Okay. So now I want to get the parameter value of this key and these elements. Yes. Okay. Did I just get it? Yes. Haha. All right. You notice what just happened? We just found these guys right here. Finished plan. All right. So I was able to, let's just go over that really quickly because it took forever to find. Okay. Mark it 1 hour and 21 minutes, 53 seconds. You have to go to the params tab, Revit primitives, parameter key. You gotta go inside and drill down until you find family and type. So if I go to F, stepping F, and then do family and type, and I'm gonna delete this, just undo that for now. Okay. So we get the family and type. And then that just screw up again. I'm just gonna recompute. There we go. Okay. So we got floor plan and then the type. So now all we need to do is do a match text. And we'll just say, take this text and look for finish. Okay, we're gonna put that into the regex and it will return true if that's the case. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just split tree. With these masks. And let's just do a quick test to see if this works. Actually, let's do it like this. If I do list, sequence, and basically either cull or what's the other one? It's like split. Dispatch, that's what I was thinking of. Took a second. So we're gonna take this list, we're gonna dispatch and put these into two different lists. So, so for these guys, this is what doesn't contain finish. This is what does contain finish. Okay. So now what we need to do, delete this crap up here. And then okay. Oh crap. get rid of this crap here, that crap. Okay, that was a fun exercise. But I want to take this list of elements and pass that through. Okay. And now parameter key. I actually want to internalize this just so it's more stable. We'll do that later, but for now, let's just keep moving. So I've got my split list, which is huge. And now what I want to do is, based off of the viewports on the sheet, which I've associated with the correct branch, now I can associate what it should be. Okay, so for everything in A, it should be finish, which I'm going to set to interiors. So the value I'm going to put in is interiors. And I need to confirm this list here. So let's get rid of this crap here. And that crap, that. Okay, so I want to set the value of interiors for the sheets to the discipline, right? So I'm going to go ahead and unplug this. And I should be able to put it, whoa, what the heck? Okay, that was weird. Let's just take a look at our index here. So it looks like I just need to simplify this one time. So I'm going to do that here. And I'm just going to right click and say principal and simplify this incoming list. Simplifying that. So now I've got the same branch structure. And I'm going to pass this list through. So now I've got the sheets. Okay. If I wanted to keep these together, I could just drag or copy and use the same pattern. So I might as well just do that. And now in list A, that's the sheets I'm going to update. And the parameter key is discipline. Okay. So for everything that contains finish, right? For everything that's true in list A that contains finish, I'm going to apply discipline interiors. Okay. Right there. See if that did it. Voila. So now, if I do a similar approach, and let's just say, I'm going to go ahead and save this real quick. So now if I come over here into Revit, let's go ahead and apply the same principle. And you know what? Let's just rename these two while we're at it. We might as well rename our sheets. So I'm going to go ahead and get, instead of sheet use, I'm going to alt drag this. Okay. And I'm going to say, give me the sheet name. This is a built-in parameter. So let's see if we get it. Okay, cool. So now I can apply that same process to set my sheet name. So I'm going to go ahead and take these elements here, and I'm going to go ahead and go to Revit, element, set element parameter. I'm going to pass these through, and the new key I'm going to worry about. Right, so, okay. So then this key is sheet name. And now I'm just going to basically do a find and replace. So if I just type in replace text, I'm going to say, go ahead and find unnamed in this sheet name and replace it with finish floor plan. Okay. And the result is boom. And I might as well just say level. Okay. And now I can set that parameter value just for, again, I need to filter out the elements I'm applying this to. So to simplify this, I'm going to go ahead and let's just say prune. And I'm going to plug this tree in, and I'm going to say you have to have at least one in the tree for it to stay. That's going to keep me just the branches that I want. And now if I just do the viewer to get my masks, get my branches, and now I can do branch. There we go. Taking those paths, plugging in these new names, and applying those values to their appropriate elements. I might as well just keep the filtered elements through right there, and then I'll just apply those values. So you can see that just updated my interior sheets to finish floor plan, and just for those specific levels. Cool. So then if I want to do that for architecture now, I can apply a similar approach. I'm going to go ahead and basically just drive this data update based off of the viewport types I place. So let's go ahead and repeat that process. You can see up here, I'm organizing by levels. And, you know, if I wanted to keep these coordinated, I could, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. So for floor plans, I'm just going to go ahead and edit type, duplicate, and call this we can do this as much as we want. We can do construction, framing plan. Let's just call this architecture. And we could also apply a standard template to that as well. So I could say, give me the architectural plan, hit apply, hit OK, and then hit OK. So now I've got a new floor plan type up here. And I'm going to go ahead and reapply that to all of these, with the exception of that one. So let's just go ahead and grab all those, change out the type to architecture, and there we go. So now all we need to do in Grasshopper is repeat that process. So we already have the bones of what we want in place. What we need to do now is just go down here to this filter, grab a copy of this match text component. If you don't know where that is, it's right here, match text. And then I'm just gonna sort for architecture, which is what we just added into the type name. Okay. And then I'm gonna apply a similar filter. I'm just gonna alt drag a copy of this body right here. Plug in the dispatch pattern, and then I'm gonna disable this just for now, and just drag a copy and drag a copy of this too. So we've got it set to architecture. So we'll just make sure that that stays. It's already manually done, but we'll just make sure it's continuing. I'm going to set that to architecture. And then I'm going to plug in this list of elements that's true. So list A is the true elements, which is my sheets. And now I'm going to say, go ahead and find unnamed as well. And might as well just make a copy of this. So we've got unnamed, and we're going to replace it with floor plan, just floor plan. And so the first set is just looking for those plans. And then I'm also going to prune this, keeping the same minimum. That's fine. And grabbing the param viewer and the path once again. And then we'll just do this one more time. So it's the same key. We're going to put these elements in here. And then the value is going to be that new name that we just made. Okay. Which we filtered down. So these are the filtered names. This is where we're replacing it. I might as well group that off and just kind of identify where I'm editing. And if I want to annotate this while I'm going, I can just kind of say architecture. Okay. And just this one over here is interiors. Cool. So now all I need to do to rerun this is just enable this component here. Let's just enable it. And now you can see this has gone ahead and renamed itself based on those types. So this is pretty exciting because now if I start to change any of these out, I can start to create new floor plan types and associate those to updating the sheets that they live on. And so I can create relationships across that way. So anyway, this has been pretty exciting. I think I'm going to continue to explore how to work with data in Grasshopper and Rhino. There's a ton of things to do here, but basically the big things I just want to highlight once more is get and set parameters, right? So you got that. Get and set parameters right here. If you are looking for sheets, once again, sheets live inside of a model group, right? So if you're looking for input, go up here to model categories picker, and that's going to be able to find sheets for you. And then you can go ahead and filter down by the categories and get all elements of that category. And that's going to set up all the things. So I'll do an equivalent of this once I get the hang of it a little bit more, doing a side-by-side between Dynamo and Rhino.Inside. But the biggest thing that we broke through was actually getting parameter keys. So if you're not seeing something listed when you do that inspect, like we talked about, inspect element. And again, element is kind of the raw bones of Revit. So if you plug in your elements and then you hold shift and click this output here, or double click it, shift and double click, that's going to reveal all of the the data. So all the parameters on that sheet, you can see it's finding dependencies and all this stuff listed here, as well as the type parameters. It's going to find all of that. And you can see here all that information. So to shift, double click to reveal that information. And then what you need to do is whenever you see parameter key, if you're not finding the parameter, you actually have to input a parameter key type. So if you're not able to find those parameters, you can find different ways to filter it. But the easiest way I found is just going up to Revit primitives, going under parameter key, and then right clicking on that, and you can filter down to the different types you want. I just basically just went for family and type because I wasn't sure which subtype it was here. So like internal, yeah, so it looks like internal, family and type. That's the one I went for right there. And then that was able to get me the keys I wanted, and then I extracted the values. And then this is just a built-in, this is basically the same as a contains, like if you are familiar with Dynamo, you can do a string contains node to check to see if some string value has that text inside of it. So that's the same here with match. And then we ran that into a dispatch component, and I did it here first just to verify that I was in fact filtering as expected. Once I filtered that, I filtered the sheets that found this true, so wherever finish was in the type, which is this finish plan type right here, it then found that corresponding sheet that it's on. You can see here, floor plan new level 12, it found that right here. And then it went ahead and started to update the information on that sheet. So I basically just said, okay, go ahead and apply this interiors to group it right here, which is that sheets discipline parameter. And then continue that element through, just clean it up a little bit, just so we're getting only the interiors information. And then once we got that information, I did another parameter, set parameter, right? Set element parameter. And this time, instead of the sheet discipline key, I was working on the sheet name to make that update. So let's just group these a little bit better. So this is parameter number 1, parameter number 2, and then I was able to go ahead and set that parameter. So pretty cool stuff. If I kept this running by just enabling that, this would continue to update as we made changes over here. So all I needed to do is fire up Grasshopper inside of Revit and then have that running in the background while I'm making my edits. So super exciting. I think this is going to save a ton of headache. Honestly, I know it's a lot of spaghetti and wires on the visual scripting interface here, but just how Grasshopper is able to manage information, it's so much better than, I mean, there's a lot of different ways, but I prefer to use Grasshopper and the built-in components to help organize information. So anyway, good stuff. This is kind of a parallel task, but now it opens up the possibility of working with the data of Revit and doing all the modeling interoperability that you might be experiencing in Rhino. So there's so much more to talk about. This is just barely scratching the surface. My head is right now, but I'm excited about this stuff. So might as well. Yeah, so longest live stream I've done yet. I think we're at almost 2 hours now. So I think we really picked up some traction at the end there. If you are interested in Rhino.Inside, I might try to trim out the middle bit there when it was really slow. So you don't have to go through the digging process that I went through. But really appreciate you guys tuning into this one. We are planning to do, I am trying to do more live streaming. So please let me know if you are interested in seeing more Rhino.Inside. Let me know what kind of workflows you're interested in. And next time, maybe join me during the live chat and we can start to have a dialogue back and forth. So hope you enjoyed this one and stay curious, my friends. Check out Rhino 7, Rhino.Inside. There's a ton of new features going on. Super excited about what's happening, and we'll see what we come up with next. So hope you're having an amazing weekend and catch you next time. Oh yeah, and just a little call to action. Check out, I don't know if you noticed already, but below you can get on our newsletter. If you don't already, if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and head over to bimacademy.7fold.io and get on the newsletter. You'll get additional information, and whenever fresh content courses, things like that drop, you will be the first to know. I'm also pretty active on YouTube and growing more throughout 2021. So definitely come back. Keep an eye out for that upcoming live stream events. I'll do a better job of posting ahead of time that I'm gonna be going live, so you guys can be ready for that. And yeah, if you got a lot of value out of this, just leave a comment. Love to hear from you. And yeah, until next time, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.